New Orleans Saints head coach Kellen Moore recaps practice. This is the 2025 Saints OTAs. All right, this is an interview. I think it was on Thursday. I might be wrong there, but I never am. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the best time in the season. Footballs are out. Practice is happening. OTAs happening. We're leading into camp. We're leading into preseason. We're leading into the regular season. It is about to be football all the time, 24/7. Get right or get left. Now, we have heard a ton come out from just a couple of days of OTAs. All right, OTAs started Tuesday, so 3 practices at this point. When Kellen's talking, I've seen so much stuff come out about Spencer Rattler, about Tyler Shough, about Trevor Penning, about Taliese Fuaga. It just makes my heart grow 3 sizes bigger, like I'm the damn Grinch. Okay, last night I woke up in the middle of the night. It was 1 a.m. and I woke up and I was like, okay, it's time to get ready, time to get some videos out there, time to get rolling. I saw it was 1 a.m. and I had to go back to sleep, and I was like, damn, I don't want to sleep. I want to talk ball.
Knock out a few little items just because anticipate a couple things to talk about here. Okay, so obviously third day of our offseason program. I thought, a couple things to highlight. Ted Rath and his crew, head of sports performance. These guys have done an incredible job with our sports performance, just getting these guys ready to go in tandem with our training room. And these guys have done an awesome job. So we've been able to have 3 practices today. This is our third of this week. I think our guys did an awesome job. It's kind of a building process as we go through this. So our guys are really, really excited, and obviously a 4-day weekend for our guys this weekend with Memorial Day, and so I think it was an important thing for us just to acknowledge it's a great weekend for family and friends and kind of the transition for our guys, but also an opportunity to appreciate all the people who've made the ultimate sacrifice to allow us to live our dreams, and so all of us feel like we're in a really blessed and exciting opportunity here to compete with the Saints, and so as we go through this, a couple things, I'll just hit some medical stuff.
Real quick. All right. I've said it once and I'll say it again, and I'll continue to glaze. I love Kellen Moore. I mean, he's so awesome. What I don't understand, well, I do understand it, but when people are like, I don't know, he doesn't seem like a leader to me. I don't know, seems kind of soft. I don't know, seems kind of this, seems kind of that. It's like, what are you watching? He sounds great. He is confident. He knows what he wants. He knows what he's doing. He has a vision. He has a plan. We didn't do a reaction video to it, but like the Saints schedule release is a perfect example of how this team is changing. Dennis Allen had this team as a rival, opposed to the fans, to the media. Dennis Allen had a completely different vibe to this team. Kellen Moore, in just 1 year, at this time last year, Dennis Allen was the head coach. All right. The vibe has completely shifted. The schedule release video is a perfect indicator of how things are shifted and this new New Orleans Saints team. I love it. I really do. I mean, I don't understand like getting bogged down in this like 5 wins, 6 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins. You got to step back, enjoy this process, enjoy what Kellen's doing, enjoy the quarterback battle between Rattler and Shough and Deckers, and enjoy Fuaga moving over to right and Penning moving to guard, which we said was going to happen 2 months ago. Banks, see how he can do it left tackle. I mean, it's just an unbelievable time to be alive.
We got a couple guys with knee injuries coming off of last year that won't be a part of the offseason program from a physical standpoint, and Taysom and Foster Moreau. Those guys just going through their process, and that'll obviously be a little bit longer than most guys. And then we got a couple guys that aren't a part of the offseason right now, just with a couple of nagging things that aren't major. Jake Haener, Dallin Holker, and Quincy Riley. So just give everyone a heads up so everyone's on the same page with those guys. This time of year, it's a teaching process, and so again, these guys missed some of the physical components, but them in the classroom, in the walkthroughs, doing everything they can, and so we feel like they're in a great place to continue to progress as we go through this. So open up with any questions.
Your impressions of Spencer Rattler, the job he's done, just working with him. What are your impressions?
Spencer's done an excellent job. I think this time of year, always the process and the command is a really important aspect of this thing. We get some components of the physical, exposure, but his ability to command, call the plays in the huddle, understanding of what all 11 are responsible for, I think he's doing an excellent job.
What have we been saying for weeks? That Spencer Rattler's going to run at this thing. He is going to take a shot at this. He is going to try and be the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, and he's got the tools to do it. We have said this is going to be a legitimate competition between Rattler and Shough. And, it is not just Shough's job and Rattler's going to roll over. Okay. And we are like two days of Rattler throwing, and all of a sudden, everyone is like, wow, Spencer Rattler looked pretty good. Wow, Spencer Rattler might have a shot at this thing. Wow, I never considered Spencer Rattler might be able to. So I love it. And regardless of who wins the quarterback competition is better for everybody. If Tyler Shough wins this thing, he will be so much better because of the competition with Spencer Rattler. If Spencer Rattler wins this thing, he will be so much better because of the competition with Tyler Shough. I heard a report that they're running through this with like really high intensity, when normally you would kind of just like downshift and you're kind of just like are ramping up, I guess. You're just kind of like walking through things, and it's a glorified, drill. Like it's just like everyone's in shirts and shorts, and it's like 7-on-7. There's no contact, like it's whatever. But I've heard the intensity is ratcheted up big time, and it's because of this competition. It's because every rep and every snap is a Super Bowl. Every single thing that Rattler does, every single thing that Tyler Shough does, their career, or at least the chance to start the season as a starting quarterback, is on the line. They can't take days off. They can't take plays off. They can't take reps off. So that's going to boost all the players around them. So, I mean, just just that alone is a masterclass from Kellen Moore of just like how to do this, and his decision to harness that kind of competitive fire in this team.
How much experience that he had last year? Do you think that's going to help him? And obviously, it's your number 2 quarterback. He doesn't have to go. He didn't have to draft. How big is that for him?
I think for Spencer's situation, anytime you get a chance to play, there's always value and lessons in that, no matter the circumstance. I thought, he handled himself well last year, competing and navigating, potentially a few that were a little bit of a challenging situations. And then for any guy in general, your second offseason is always a huge jump. I think that's historically everyone, references that as that second year jump for these guys, because the first year, there's a little bit of swimming, going into that. You go right from your college season right into that the draft process, which is a long process for these guys. And then we throw them right into football again. And so they've been through a lot. And so that second year, you find some rhythm, you find some continuity in yourself. You're able to kind of build your own off-season program. And so Spencer's doing an excellent job.
Well, not only that, but like just the reps itself. Like Spencer was taking the third string reps last year. Like just even that. And then he takes second string reps, then he takes first string reps, then he plays in 7 games. So it's just, he really got a crash course in this. He really got there's so much more to the experience and all that than just the games. People who are like, oh, he played in 7 games and he did this and he did that. But you got to factor in the prep. All those games, he has a week of prep as the one. He has a week of prep at that time with Clint Kubiak of watching film as the one, commanding the huddle, whatever's going on in the locker room. That is invaluable.
Have you been able to gather an impression of Isaiah Foskey and just kind of what does he need to do to progress in his career?
Yeah, I think Isaiah's done an excellent job. I think for those guys, this time is a lot of teaching. Our edge rushers are a little bit different in that they're playing some of the 7-on-7, so they're part of 7-on-7 because they do have some coverage components at times in their responsibilities. And so he's been out there doing a great job, excellent effort. I think our guys have been really impressed.
How do you feel about the way that Trevor Penning is responding to changes in the system scheme?
Trevor's done an excellent job. His play style, his physicality is what jumps off the tape, and so we want to allow him to play fast, free, and confident, because when he plays like that, he's going to be a really, really good player.
It was so obvious, and it has been so obvious that Trevor is a guard, and he is a mauler. He's better in run blocking. He's like everything made this so obvious. And then when they took Banks, again, the idea that like Banks was going to play guard was insane. It was absolutely crazy. When they don't pick up Trevor's option, the whole thing. So I'm glad that he's thriving. I mean, it's only been 3 days, but I'm glad that he's thriving at guard because I think that he could be really good there. And you do have a guy in Kellen Moore who took a tackle, moved him to guard, and the guard was incredibly successful. Okay? So this is something that Kellen knows and can do. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Trevor Penning has his best year of his career at left guard. And, oh, baby, another masterclass. Another absolute masterclass by the Saints would be taking a tackle, declining his option, moving him to guard, to then restructure and renegotiate a contract under the guard money and not the tackle money. Oh, I mean, you talk about chef's kiss, okay? I've said it before and I'll say it again. The best case scenario for the Saints is Banks, left tackle, Penning, left guard, McCoy, center, Ruiz, right guard, Fuaga, right tackle. And 4 of those guys, if Penning works out, oh, man. I mean, you're getting some youth and you're getting some elite level play. I mean, Eric McCoy is one of the best centers in the game. And then the other 3 guys are young AF. The Saints went from having a horrible, maybe the worst offensive line in the NFL, 2 years ago? To now, we'll see what happens. I mean, again, it's been 72 hours, but we'll see what happens. But this could be, I mean, just like flipping a light switch. All of a sudden, it's like, yeah, the Saints offensive line is sweet. And they are the best part of that team. And you give Kellen Moore a really, really good offensive line. Take a look at 2024 and see how the Eagles were. You give Kellen Moore a good offensive line, oh, watch out.
How much more rotation do you expect along the offensive line throughout your offseason process?
We'll see how it goes. Obviously, continuity is a really important aspect for those guys, but we'll play with some different personnel packages, just moving those guys around, because ultimately, in season, there will be things that come up, and you have to have guys that have played other things and had different exposures. But we'll try and build on continuity as well.
Kellen, we saw Spencer out there with the ones today. Has that been the case all week, or does that change by the day?
For the most part, the quarterback's just been rotating, just kind of by the day. I don't want them to get into where they're always looking who's in, who's out, create a little bit of rhythm each day. And so, Spence took the ones today, and it'll continue to rotate throughout the whole offseason.
Exactly how I would do it. I'd rotate them, just same in preseason. You get the first half, you get the second half. Next game, you get the first half, you get the second half. And just go so on and so forth. The best way to do it, yeah.
Jake have ever been in the ones rotation before he got hurt, or it was going to be kind of Spencer and Tyler?
No, Jake took some ones the other day as well.
What's kind of a transition for you going from coordinator to head coach? Like, what's that process been like?
It's been a really good process. Feel fortunate to be teaming up with some really, really good people here who've done it for a long time, and so you're able to lean on those resources. Obviously you get to be part of all 3 phases, which has been an enjoyable aspect, really connecting with those other phases, and so it's been great.
What do you think of Tyler's effort this week, Tyler Shough?
Tyler did an excellent job. Anytime you're a rookie and you hop in there, and he got a healthy dose of reps, obviously, just like these other quarterbacks, and for him to, again, command, control, he understands the system inside and out, and so he did an excellent job.
Going back to Trevor Penning, does he have the physical skill set to play inside too?
Hell
yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And
brother, you watching the games?
I think for our staff, we have a lot of exposure of guys going from tackle to guard.
I mean, did I not just say that? Ladies and gentlemen?
And having a lot of success.
What have you seen from Chris Olave so far? What do you think he could bring to your team?
Chris is a really smooth player. You see it out there. Just an excellent, big-time receiver in this league. I think we all know that. Just getting to see him and his ability to move around and play a number of positions and line up in a number of different ways will be a huge advantage for us.
How much of a disadvantage, or not a disadvantage, but how much do you kind of keep in mind his injury history as things kind of ramp up?
Yeah, obviously, Chris has gone through, just the injuries, over the recent past, and so he's navigated that really well. I think, again, he's playing excellent football right now, and so he'll be fine.
Watching Mekhi do what you're trying to have Trevor do this year, is that helpful in terms of being able to guide someone through that already?
Yeah, so in case y'all did not know what I was referencing earlier, Mekhi Becton was a failed tackle, moved to guard. He was really, really good at guard. bada bing, bada boom, realest guy in the room.
Certainly. I think, TJ being here, Doug, myself, and we've been around, that transition that Mackay took last year, which really was later even in the process. It was really right at the end of OTAs, and then it transitioned into training camp. And so, allow Trevor to kind of hop into the guard position. He's doing an excellent job. He's embracing it. We know he's played tackle plenty, and so, he's doing an excellent job in there.
Kellen, it seemed like you guys got a lot done in a short period of time. Is that like time efficiency spill out to like the schedule throughout the day? Like you guys trying to get the guys in and out of here and just get a lot done and, as much efficiency as possible?
Yeah. I think we're really conscious of being really efficient and the workloads that go into this. And so Ted Rath is one of the best in the business. I truly think he's the best from a sports performance standpoint. And so certainly he's a guy that I'll lean on with connection to the training staff. And so we've had longer days. And so this day was kind of a fast day. This is our third day in a row. And so we were really conscious of being really efficient with these guys on and off the field, get them to, still go for it. We limited some of the space, and so it allows our guys to recover in a really good way that, coming off of this 4-day weekend, we'll be able to attack it again.
Do you remember last year when Dennis Allen got canned and Darren Rizzi stepped in? What was the first thing Darren Rizzi talked about? Anybody remember? First thing he talked about was the warm-up period. And the first thing he talked about was changing practice and completely shifting how practice was structured and scheduled and all of that. When you are a head coach, it's not just the X's and O's. It's about the logistics. It's about the infrastructure. It's about the operations. If you are not good at that, the team will suffer because the team won't be prepared. The team will have trouble with short turnaround, short rests. They'll have trouble with long flights or weird scheduling and things like that. They'll even just have trouble in general because the practices are so inefficient. Am I surprised that a young coaching staff, an analytically driven, innovative coaching staff, very smart coaching staff, is putting an emphasis on the logistics and the operations? No, I'm not surprised. Okay? These details are what make good teams. These details are what the Rams are doing, the Ravens are doing, the Chiefs are doing. It's what the best teams in the NFL are doing. So, this is music to my ears that we're already doing this. And we're already talking about how efficient the practices are. These are OTAs. Like I said, you could easily mail these in. But these guys have a plan. These guys know what they're doing. So all of that, the inexperience or the lack, he hasn't been a head coach before. He's only 30, he's young, he's 36, throw all that out the window. He already is a better operational and infrastructure-driven head coach than Dennis Allen ever was. That's not saying much, but this is already a step closer to the Sean Payton era. And I'll say it again because I've said it on multiple shows, and I believe it. When this thing is said and done, Kellen Moore will be the best head coach in New Orleans Saints history. He will eclipse, Sean Payton. I really believe that.
Did you approach the meetings in that schedule, like kind of with that mindset of just kind of trying to get it done like as efficiently as possible?
Yeah.
I think this time of year you are limited to an allotment at 6 hours, and so I think OTAs really are about efficiency. You got to be really, really efficient with your time, and so the meetings are probably shorter than you'd normally have in season, just naturally by rules. But I think our guys do an excellent job. Again, this is a very much a teaching phase and a building phase, and so at times it's small increments building, and then it allows us to continue to build through training camp.
Kellen, when did the conversation start about Trevor Penning possibly being able to play guard? Was that more after you guys drafted Kelvin and trying to figure out how they fit, or did you have that vision early in the offseason?
We've had conversations before the draft, I think.
Yeah, there's no way you take Kelvin Banks without having that conversation about Penning shifting to guard. No doubt about it. I bet that was early on.
We feel great about Trevor, and it's just a matter of putting the best 5 out there on the field, getting ourselves opportunities and the versatility that provides. Again, Trevor's physicality and his demeanor and the way he plays, we feel like guard presents him a great opportunity, and so we know the great progress he's made at tackle as well, and so we feel like this gives us a really good opportunity to evaluate him in that guard spot, let him keep doing what he does, and good things are going to happen.
What about moving Bulaga back to right? Did you see enough on his cholesterol to make you encourage the hold up there?
Yeah, no concerns. I don't really care about left tackle, right tackle components in this league. The edge rushers go wherever the
that's all shifted. Again, that's like a really old school Like, it's really old school kind of thing where it's like, oh, the left tackle protects the quarterback's blind side. He has to be, like, look, it's not the 70s anymore, okay? So, yeah, players move around so much. Edge rushers move around so much. Defensive schemes are so much more evolved. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't put a huge emphasis on left tackle, right tackle. So I'm with Kellen on this one.
The matchups go, and they're going to go wherever they line up. And so, he spent a lot of time at right in his whole life. He spent left, obviously, last year. Sometimes I think we make bigger deals out of it than it really is because, you talk to Tully, and it's like, okay, cool.
Me and Kellen, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I am him, he is me. Same with cornerback, same with wide receiver. A lot of people make a big deal out of the number one cornerback. 10 years ago, they were basically matched up on the best receiver, pretty much playing man the entire time. Now it's totally different. Like, now it's all matchup dependent, and it's all the zone systems, and wide receiver, same thing. Like, just because you're the number one wide receiver on the depth chart back in the day, it means you had to play on a certain part of the field, and you had to run certain routes. And now that's not the case anymore. So it's kind of like the NBA. The NBA used to be center, power forward, small forward, shooting guard, point guard. They all did the exact same thing. And then it shifted to the positional numbers to make it a little less like concrete, right? So then you have the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. And now it's even less. Now it's just players do all kind of stuff. And we just saw Caruso guarding Jokic in the Western, or in the playoffs. So it's all matchups now. Everything's it's all a chessboard. Sports are becoming a chessboard. And it's all down to the play, the matchup, the moment, the situation. That's it. So, I mean, if you're a soccer fan, Harry Maguire from Manchester United, at the end of games, he's a center back. At the end of games, they put him up front. They make him play forward so that he can just kind of like, they can bomb balls in, and he can just try and win headers. So it's all about these like new little wrinkles.
Well, go to the right tackle next day, and it's easy as can be.
Did you feel like that as a player too, or like when you went into coaching, like what did you kind of decide, or like determine? Is that unusual too, like determining like left tackle, right tackle?
As far as a philosophical approach,
Yeah.
I think just being around it. I can argue, Penny Sewell and Lane Johnson play right tackle, and I don't think either team ever said they have to go play left. They're two of the best in this entire league, and arguably league history. And so, you got to have really, really good tackles on both sides. At the end of the day, that's what this thing's about. Edge rushers are going to line up in a lot of different spots, and so you got to have the talent on both those spots. And we feel like, with Kelvin and Tully, we got certainly two guys that feel great about tackle. Trevor's going to be able to play guard, which is going to be able to be a tremendous asset for us. Gets us really good players on the field, and we know those guys can play other positions as well. And so, we feel like we got a really deep crew there as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Big Ten, like as it relates to the offensive line, like is keeping those guys on the field like kind of the key to winning? Like, I've seen stats where like teams with 60% of their snaps with their starters, like they win like 9 games, and if you go below that number, like it really kind of drops. Is that something you look at all?
I think one.
So I don't know if you could hear the question, but Nick was talking about keeping the starters on the field, keeping the best players on the field, and he referenced something like, the number is if you have your starters on the field for 60% or more snaps, you win like 9 games as a baseline, whatever. There's this like last year we saw the Saints have a lot of injuries, and this idea of depth, right? This idea of like, well, you want to have all this depth, you want to have a backup center, you want to draft a backup to the backup guard. That's just not the case. That's not really how it is. If you look at the San Francisco 49ers, they have a ton of injuries. What happens? They win 6 games. You look at the Cincinnati Bengals, they have a ton of injuries. What happens? They suck. Right? So keeping the starters on the field and finding a way to maximize your best players is the key to winning. The key to winning is not your backup center. If you get down to your backup center, you're probably cooked anyways. Same with quarterback. Say it all the time with Joe Burrow. The second Joe Burrow went down and they went to Jake Browning, the season is over. Right? It's not about like, oh, well, you have to invest in a good backup just in case Joe Burrow gets down. It doesn't matter because once he is gone, season's over. Once that player is removed, once that high-level player is off the field, season's cooked. So yeah, absolutely. Keeping your best players on the field, maximizing those reps is the key to winning.
One thing with the offensive line is that group has to be really, really interconnected. And so much of it is verbal, but so much of it's nonverbal. Those guys are in combinations and working together more than probably any other group in this entire game. You know, the right tackle and the right guard spend so many times in combination blocks, and they have to be perfectly aligned and hit it.
We saw it last year, right? What happened when McCoy went down? No one knew what the hell was going on. Like, McCoy went down, everything went to hell. They didn't know, like, Ruiz didn't know where he was going, what was going on. Penning didn't know what he was doing. It was a mess. Throw into that, you have a 5th-round rookie quarterback, Spencer Rattler, disaster. Okay, those are the kind of things last year that the Saints were facing that people just kind of poo-poo. But those are legitimate. McCoy was shifting the offensive line. So all of a sudden now, who's doing it? You know, now you have Rattler having to shift the offensive line. How he's trying to worry about what he's doing. He doesn't know what's going on. So, yeah, that communication level, especially in an intricate offense, super important.
At the same time and have these verbal communication, but at times there's nonverbal communication. And so the more time these guys spend time together, gelling, communicating, being on the same page is a huge advantage for any offense in this league.
It's a big part of why you pursued Ted Rath, particularly. I mean, he's got a reputation of helping to keep rosters healthy, but is there something he does specifically with offensive line or anything that makes him?
I think Ted's the best in the business. I think he's phenomenal with what he does. Obviously, he's got great track record in the different spots, certainly LA, Philadelphia, coming here. And so he's a huge asset for us. I think our guys train really hard, but really smart at the same time. And I think our guys will enjoy, and they certainly have enjoyed Ted and that entire group down there, the energy, the juice that they bring with the just a really good program that allows them to play to their best ability.
Kellen, your exposure to Brandon Staley in LA, how important was that in your decision to bring him onto your staff, and how do you see him kind of implementing his scheme with the roster this year?
I feel like it's been a really good offseason for our defensive staff. Obviously, teaming up with Brandon again, I felt great about it. I had a great experience with Brandon. I think he's just a really good defensive coordinator in this league. From a standpoint, he's really smart. He's got great versatility in our scheme. It's going to allow our guys to play in multiple ways that best suit them. And so I think our versatility on defense is going to be an advantage for our guys. We got some really good players, and Brandon will do a great job of allowing those guys to play their best of their ability.
Love it.
See Chase hang out there, was that just
Yeah, no issues.
Kellen, what did you like about Hunter Deckers throughout the pre-draft process? Is that a guy for a while you thought maybe you'd end up drafting if things
I think Hunter is a great example of how the draft process and the scouting process works. And so a guy that our scouting department has spent a lot of time getting to study. You know, his journey is obviously one that's very unique compared to most people who get to this point in the NFL. And so credit to our scouting department of really spending a lot of time digging into his process, making sure we were comfortable with it, evaluating him. He's a guy that, as we went through the process, we were really intrigued with being a guy that we can develop. And, again, he's, been stuck, with a little bit of a limited football volume the last couple of years, but we feel like we're going to be able to help him continue to grow and develop. He's got a great arm. He's got a great feel. He's athletic. He's really athletic, which jumps out on tape, and you see it out there. And so we're excited to have him.
Well, what a great spot for Hunter Deckers, too, where he missed a lot of football, but now he's in a spot to where he's just being hyper-developed. Like, all he has to do is develop. And he's in a perfect spot to do that with Kellen Moore and Tolzien and Nussmeier. He can just get all those reps and get all of that football time that he missed and sit back and develop. That's why people are like, well, he might win the starting job. So let's take a step back. Let the guy develop. Relax. He's here for an obvious reason. Okay, he missed a lot of football. So now he's in this like hyperbaric time chamber like in Dragon Ball Z, and he's going to train, and he's going to get those reps in. So, chill on the expectations on these guys. All right? Hunter Deckers doesn't need to try and be the starting quarterback week 1. He needs to try and get those reps and catch up to the football time of everybody else.
Looking at the process right now with the OTAs going into mandatory minicamp and training camp, when does it come where it's not as far as competitive aspect of things? You do 7-on-7 when you actually have team drills, like looking more like live instead of glorified walkthrough. Yes. I know mentally establishing things with something you see with minicamp y'all have more?
So the way the rules are structured now, this is really mostly a teaching session. And through the OTA and minicamp process, 7-on-7 is probably the one that has some component of a competitive environment. Most of the team settings are going to be in the teaching environment, where we're putting in the system in all three phases, really teaching it, getting great clips and teaching examples of it. The physical component and the way for us to evaluate that really doesn't come until training camp. That's just the way it's structured. And so even when we get to training camp, we'll have the ramp up for a few days, and then when we get the pads on, obviously, ultimately that's the closest we're going to get to in-season game mode, and so we'll get great evaluations at that point.
With Jake's injury coming so early in the summer, it kind of went off what you just said. Is it a big step back for him in terms of keeping pace with the quarterback competition, or is that all kind of going to happen?
No one wants to miss time. Obviously, no one certainly wants to miss time. But for Jake and his situation, there's still a teaching component, a mental component that he's capitalizing on. He's right there with the QBs. He'll be there through the whole offseason process, and so I don't think it's a drastic missed opportunity. He'll have plenty of opportunities as we go to training camp to continue to build.
Does that change any desire or need to bring in another quarterback from a rep standpoint, or are you good with?
It's something we'll continue to evaluate. Obviously, like any position in our roster, we're always looking to get better and compete in the best way we possibly can. And so, we'll continue to evaluate it.
You just mentioned 7-on-7 out there before. I mean, anyone particularly either stand out or surprise you in those sessions so far?
I don't think anyone surprised me. I think, we got a really good group. I think the biggest thing we've emphasized is just the play style and the habits that you can create. Obviously, we know this time of year, there's some circumstances just from a rules standpoint as far as how we're going to compete. Our guys are just practicing the right way, and that's the thing we're just hammering as far as defensive guys getting trained to scoop and scoring, and we're going to score on defense, and on offense we're going to do a great job of pursuing the football and making those touchdown blocks. And so I think we just got really good players who are doing this thing the right way, and it certainly jumps out there. Tush push, yeah. Obviously, I'm good. Obviously, I feel like it's a play that has obviously drawn a lot of discussions. Obviously, as you go through the process, I know certainly there was a injury component that was emphasized and a speed of play. Both.
We're really going to go down a rabbit hole here, but I mean, this isn't. I just. One of those moments where it's like, maybe we shouldn't divert, maybe we shouldn't do this, but whatever. It's late enough into the video, who cares? If you remember the Casey Anthony trial, a big problem of why the trial went the way it did was because the prosecution sought the death penalty. And that was a big talking point where if they would not have done that, then the verdict may have been different. Similar to the Tush push, where they went at it the wrong way using the injury component. There is no evidence that the Tush push is any more dangerous of a play than any other play, especially any other short yardage play. There's no difference injury-wise in the Tush push and a 4th and 1, 3rd and 1 fullback dive, right? What they should have done was attack the idea that it's changing the way that the short yardage is played. Right? And what they should have done was say, well, if the offense can do this, the defense should be able to do this as well. And they should have. That's what they should have thrown out there instead of trying to outright ban it for an injury concern that doesn't exist. They should have said, instead of banning it, we want to change things for the defense, where the defense can also get into. You have to declare it. You have to declare you're doing the Tush push. Okay, defense sets up, offense sets up, rock and roll. That's all that needs to happen, because if that happens, the success rate will plummet. If the success rate plummets, you won't have to worry about, because my worry is that teams are going to figure out, like on 3rd and 4, it's probably better to just do Tush push twice in a row and get 2 yards each time. You'll probably have a higher success rate of doing that twice than like a 6-yard pass, where if you don't get it, you punt, right? So that's my concern, is that it's just going to compound itself. Instead of being 4th and 1, it'll now be 3rd and 3 and 4th and 1. It'll be 3rd and 4 and 4th and inches, and you'll start getting these back-to-back Tush pushes where teams, like, you remember, I know a long time ago when running the football was really popular, the idea was, well, if you run it for 3 yards a rush, times 4, that's 12. That's a first down. And the idea of like getting a 3-yard run 4 times in a row, it sounds insane, but it's like, well, yeah, if you could do that, you're going to win the Super Bowl. If you could guarantee that. But in your head, it's like, well, that doesn't seem right. Like just churning out a 3-yard run 4 times in a row all the way down the field doesn't seem like the football that we know. It doesn't seem real. But you watch the Washington Commanders, that's what they do. The Washington Commanders were doing these 16, 17, 18-yard drives because they were more than happy, or 16, 17, 18 play drives, because they were more than happy to say, yeah, we'll just get 3-4 yards of play, go for it on 4th down, and boom. And what did we see? Exactly that. And it kind of sucks. Like, it kind of sucks to watch, especially as the opposition, because you get the ball twice and a half. So that's my concern with the tush push. Much less about the injury concern, which I think was a mistake on the opposition party that was led by the Packers and some other teams of why they were trying to ban this thing.
Didn't feel like there was much data or proof to say that was justifiable as we went through that process.
There was literally zero.
I feel good. I'm really happy that obviously it didn't go through that process, especially the way they counter moved it with the way they were. The potential latest proposal was to eliminate all pushing from an offensive player perspective, which created a whole nother can of worms.
Right.
I don't think everyone quite realized that occurs in a lot more football plays than just that. And so
they completely screwed up they completely messed up the reasoning to ban it. It was a disaster.
We're drastically changing a number of plays in this, and so I feel great about it. I feel like it's a play that ultimately one team or a couple teams have invested a ton of time into, put a lot of work into it, and they've been able to capitalize on it. But every team's, it's just like any other play. It's available to everyone, and we'll see.
So you install that Tuesday or Wednesday?
We'll see. We'll certainly I've had great experience with it, but again, it's an investment. It's a play that obviously Philadelphia has done a great job of investing a lot of time into, spending a lot of time, embracing that play, and so there's a skill component to it as well that we just got to evaluate.
Yeah, Baltimore's kind of figuring it out with Mark Andrews. The Bills are horrible at it. Theirs is terrible. So the Saints, they may be able to have a wrinkle with it with Hunter Deckers or somebody, but there is a skill component to it for sure. It's not just a guaranteed. And like Washington doesn't do it, right? But Washington handles the short yardage kind of the same, but different. Usually theirs is like an RPO. It's like a one-read RPO getting Daniels on the outside where he can either dump it. He's just trying to get 2 yards, right? So it's the same philosophy, but a different play. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Saints utilized it.
You mentioned Taysom Hill missing the time because of the knee, obviously. Do you anticipate him eventually being a part of this team, participating in this?
Yeah. Obviously, I think the world of Taysom. He's been one of the impact players in this organization and across the league for a long time, and he's drastically changed the way people view offensive football. And so, he's a great piece. He does a lot of different things. He had an excellent year last year. Prior to that injury, which was just really unfortunate because he was just playing such good football. And so, obviously he's going through a recovery process, and we'll let that go through it.
Well, Taysom's a good example of what I'm talking about, where in previous seasons, like let's say it's 3rd and 5, what do you think you have a better shot with? A 3rd and 7 pass or a 7-yard pass play, or you run Taysom twice? And for the Saints, I would argue running Taysom twice, you have a much higher chance of getting 5 yards than some of the pass plays or some of the other stuff we were doing. Same like. That's why last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was, I was saying, quit running Jamal Williams. Quit running Kendra Miller. Either run Alvin Kamara or run Taysom Hill, or don't run. Okay, it's 3rd and 3. Let's try a Kendra Miller pitch. It's like, how about not? Like, how about we just scratch that play and do a Taysom quarterback power on 3rd and 3? And if he doesn't get it, do it again on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. And what's the chances they stop it twice? Probably not great. And that's when you start getting into success rate and your percentages and your probability and all of that. And that's where the NFL is headed. That is how offense and defense is going to be called now, is those super, super specific situational per play kind of thing, versus 15 years ago where it's like, okay, well, it's 2nd and 10, call a running play. Whatever. Have this random backup running back in. Who cares? It's just 2nd and 10. It's just a run play. But there's way more to it.
you've been around for, how do you measure? I mean, is it just enthusiasm, feel, attendance? I mean, you've been a part as a player and now a coach when you're doing an off season, and it's mostly, like you said, homework type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How do you measure where you're going from where you've been when you got here?
Yeah, there's a lot of performance stuff. I mean, I think really when you look at the offseason program, you start with the weight room and the sports performance side of it. You know, that's a big building block and a foundation for us. The second component is just really building on the scheme component. You know, building their understanding of the schemes at more of a basic level, and we'll build it as we go. And then the third component is just seeing these guys spend time around each other as you're building an environment, a culture, and you know, that's the exciting part when you see these guys just spend a lot of time. We got an awesome facility here, first class. It's got everything you can possibly ever need, and so it's fun seeing these guys here just lingering around, taking advantage of the training room, taking advantage of the cafeteria, which is, you know, best in the world. And so you know, it's really fun to just see these guys really embrace this thing, embrace each other, and come together for this thing.
Kellen, you talk about the interconnectivity of the offensive line. When you look at Spencer last year, and I think it was 4 left guards, 3 centers, 3 right guards, almost no time with Olave, Shaheed, Alvin, Taysom. I mean, does that factor into when you look at that film?
That's all. I think that's all fair evaluation. I think understanding the context of it. Continuity is a huge part of this thing, and so the number one thing for continuity is to be available. And so we're hopefully putting a lot of effort into doing that the right way from a sports performance standpoint, training standpoint, and you know, obviously, unfortunate things happen. That's how this league works. You do have to have guys that step up and take advantage of opportunities when guys go down, and so you know, we're doing our best to put ourselves in a really good situation for that.
I mean, that guy. I don't know if y'all could hear the question. It was kind of muted, but he said Spencer went through 4 left guards, 3 centers, 4 right guards. He lost Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave, lost Alvin Kamara, lost Taysom Hill. Like, when you hear it all, it's like, man, it is crazy. Lost his head coach. Like, it's amazing what the Saints went through last season.
I was kind of looking as how you would grade Spencer during those times when he had very tough offensive line, tough, no weapons.
I think the big thing is you evaluate any film of any player across this league, Spencer included. You're really looking at the context, and you're really looking at the process of the player. Results are obviously very, very important. That's ultimately how we're evaluated. But for us, when you look at the individual, you got to look at their process and see that they're going through a right process. And I thought he had some really, really good film on tape. Some games where, you know, I thought he just did an excellent job. He protected the football, delivered. He took shots, you know, and hung in there. I think that's a big thing, to have quarterbacks who have the courage to know, hey, I'm going to get hit here, but I'm going to make a throw that's going to impact this game and impact our team. And so you saw a number of those by Spencer that got me fired up, and you know, I thought his accuracy showed up throughout the games as well.
The pump fake that Shough has, is that a strength of his? Does it actually hate the defense?
Pump fake?
Yeah,
Yeah, certainly that's a tool to any quarterback if they have the ability and the comfort. You know, again, you're separating your hands potentially, and so some guys are more comfortable with it than others. But yeah, he's done a great job with it.
Yeah, when we watched Tyler Shough's film last week or this week, we talked about his double pump, and we talked about, you know, his ability to double pump, move the shoulders around was really, really good for sure. And having a strong pump fake like that, huge in the NFL. And you got to be, I mean, I talk about it all the time, but like Kenny Pickett, he's not going to have a good pump fake. Why? Because he's wearing gloves. You can't have a good pump fake if you have gloves.
What have you learned now being a head coach from your days in the NFL about what's said about outside the building, whether it's high expectations, low expectations about doing your job, or being motivated by those things or not?
Yeah, I think it's really, it reinforces how important, good or bad, yes or no, anything outside of it, to really narrow your focus and focus on the task at hand, get our guys really interconnected, recognize we're all in this thing together. And so, you know, there's going to be good moments, there's going to be bad moments, no matter what type of season you have. And so every guy has to embrace that. And I think for our guys, understand when adversity hits, you lean into each other a little bit more, you embrace your team a little bit more, you look out for your other teammates that may need that. And so, you know, I think we got a great group to capitalize on that.
At the end of practice, the guys dap each other up, but is
yeah.
that something that you encourage? Like what?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Just our guys connecting. I think it's important that you put a really good day of work together, you know, in all 3 phases. Sometimes there's a competitive component of defense and offense, and that's natural. But at the end of the day, when you come back together, before we break it down, we're all as one. We're a team. And so, you know, you appreciate the work that someone else did, maybe on the other side of the ball, and you're excited to come together and then do it again the next day.
You mentioned Olave's impact. How much does a guy like that help a young quarterback room with Shough and Rattler, and how much of an impact do you think, or do you expect him to have on those guys and their development?
I think our receiver room's got excellent people, excellent talented players. They all work their tail off, and I think they're really, really good communicators. And so, CO, Sheed, even the guys who've been, Cooksey's been in this league for a long time. Dante's been in this league. There's a bunch of guys, I can go on and on. It's a really good group, and I think that quarterback room, that receiver room spend a lot of time together, which is ultimately what you want.
For a player like Kendrick Miller, someone who may have had some difficulties in the past with former coaching staff, how do you make it a point to focus on kind of this is a blank slate, this is a new situation, you don't have to worry about things that have happened in the past?
Yeah, the first day was blank slate. So whatever's happened in the past, we acknowledge, but it has no bearing on what happens in the future.
I mean, is that a conversation you have with him, or is it just kind of
I think individually and collectively as a team that
I have kind of more of a philosophical question here about playing. It feels like now you hear about off-platform throws, and I see Tyler make a few of them. Even when you were coming out, I don't remember Drew making a lot of sidearm throws, or Peyton Manning. Has that become more prevalent just because of the length of defensive players or the quickness? Why is that something that is now in a quarterback's bag?
Yeah, you're always going to have evolution in sports as defenders get more athletic. As as things change, both offensively and defensively, you have to evolve. And I think this idea of off-platform throws, sidearm throws, different arm slots, all that, it has to evolve as well. So.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think I think the first thing and most important thing is when you can be set and under control, that you can throw the ball accurately and consistently. And I think that you have to start there. And then from that standpoint, I think a lot of quarterbacks have spent a lot of time working on those different arm angles and different adjustments and being able to throw off platform, because it's important. Naturally, you're going to have to move off the spot on occasion. And these offense linemen, defense linemen, no matter what, even Tyler, as tall as he is, whatever he is, 6'5", you still have to navigate these guys. Every quarterback has to navigate these guys. And so we talk a lot about these guys. I'm a 6-foot guy, and all the 6-foot quarterbacks get hammered for, you can't see and you got to throw no quarterback can really see. It's really, really hard. So Tolly's 6'6". He's really, really tall. Trevor's 6'7". You got to navigate all these guys. And so I think for all these quarterbacks, being able to throw at different arm angles and finding their different slots is a huge advantage.
I'll say this too about the off-platform thing. I've mentioned this before. It looks cool and it's fun to talk about, but it's not something you want to base the player on. Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams' best plays at USC are the worst things he does in the NFL. The best plays at USC is when he's holding onto the ball for 15 seconds, he's running left, and then he escapes the pocket. The ball is down by his knee. He turns back around, runs back to the right side. He's taken all the time in the world, then finally finds a receiver. At USC, it's damn, that's sweet. And watching it on highlight tape, you're like, man, this guy's incredible. In the NFL, that is an F. That is a horrible play. Holding the ball, horrible play. Running 10 yards into the, behind the line of scrimmage to try and make something happen. Even if the result is good, it's that's not really what you want to do. It's cool that he can do it, but you don't want to see that, right? So there is a point to where all the when we were watching the Tyler Shough highlight film, where we talked about a few times where he's taking a hit and he's rolling away from the play, and he's kind of just short arming the throw, rolling away, turning his back to whatever. And I had a few commenters who were like, if it's complete, I don't care. Well, you should. That's not something you want to see him doing 10, 15 times a game. That's not something you want to see him do all the time. You absolutely want to make sure they can do the foundational stuff correct. Can Caleb Williams drop back, figure out the play quick, be efficient, get the ball out of his hands in a clean pocket, standing still? That's what you want to see him do. You don't want to judge the 20-second scramble drill. You want to judge, all right, can he just play quarterback? Can he do what we're asking him to do?
With Tyler's, with him being about 3 or 4 years older than the typical rookie, I know you haven't worked with him that much yet, but is it evident yet, that difference, or are you hoping it will become evident over the course of the summer?
I think the evidence right now, based off my experience with Tyler, is he's a really, really prepared quarterback. He can handle NFL volume. He's handled the playbook tremendously, walks in the huddle. If there's 10 words in the play call, he delivers all 10 instantly, very easily. And so I think that's a really important aspect, that he's able to kind of navigate that really quickly and move on to the physical and the just simply getting reps. Okay.
Great stuff. Great stuff. I'm fired up. I love it. I'm excited. I mean, it's funny. I mean, like how it's funny. I see like Falcons fans or Panthers fans, they come into the comment section all the time, which shows just how good of a product we have, that Falcons fans and Panthers fans are watching the channel. But they come in there and they're like, this team's going to win 3 games. This team's going to win 5 games. This team's going to win 6 games. It's like, yeah, I mean, who cares? Like, I don't care. If we win 6 games, I do not care, because it's about the process. It's about what we're building. It's about the young players. It's about the development. You know, like, is 6 games out of the question? No, absolutely not. A 6-11 season is not out of the question, but that doesn't mean it's a failure. It doesn't mean it's not successful, depending on what's being built here. You know, so it's just a different. It's like framing it differently, I guess. But that's how I'm looking at the season. I love what Kellen is saying here, and I mean, yeah, I love him like a brother. All right, get on down in the comment section below. TGIF, OTF. You know what I'm saying. All right. See you in the next video. Peace.